right now, those other matters have been delayed for various reasons. The big item is in Washington, D.C. and Atlanta, where they're waiting to see what the Supreme Court does with the immunity argument that Trump set forth. So I think that one really hinges on the immunity. But I think it does cast a whole different pale on these other cases, which most people have said are probably more serious in some ways,
Right.
although I would agree with that. But it certainly puts the pressure to get those cases moving and get them into court and tried.
What does an appeal court look like? I think even if we didn't have TV cameras there, we had the great artist sketches, and I think we know what, Nick, Paul Drake, Perry Mason, I got it down cold. But Nick, what does an appeal court actually look like?
Well, you're saying an appeals court to appeal this conviction.
Yes. What does the actual physical, what do you do at an appeals court?
Well, what you do is you go up to, there's two podiums, one for the person who's appealing and the other for the person who's opposing the appeal. In this case, it'll be the prosecution opposing the appeal, and it'll be Trump making the appeal. And you've got, in this case, in the first department, there'll be 5 judges that will hear that appeal. And so the only argument they really have is to try and somehow dredge out arguments based on the law to appeal this conviction, because essentially once you have a jury verdict and they've decided on the credibility of the witnesses and the facts, there's not much to appeal after that. And I don't think there's much to appeal either on the legal portion of this. So I don't think this appeal is going to go very far for Donald Trump.
All right, Nick, then let's turn to the sentencing aspect of this case, July 11th. What are the scenarios? What are the most likely sentencing scenarios, Nick?
Well, before January 11th, there's going to be a couple of reports that you're going to see. I guess we won't see them until the time of sentencing, but probation does a report that's provided to the court. Both sides provide sentencing memoranda to the court. The question, of course, is whether or not the DA's office asks for jail time. And if they do, whether or not Judge Merchan will provide jail time. My opinion is that based on at least the fact that Michael Cohen served 3 years for these violations, and that Alan Weisselberg, the CFO of Trump Org, who was instrumental in setting up the phony corporate records on this and the payments that went out to reimburse Michael Cohen, he's already served 3 months in Rikers Island for unrelated matters, and now he's serving 3 months, another 3 months in Rikers Island for lying, and it's pretty clear that he has not cooperated against Donald Trump. And I think the judge is going to have to consider that here are 2 people that were instrumental in this crime that did serve jail time, and I find it hard to believe that he is not going to feel compelled to give Donald Trump at least some jail time.
Wow.
In what way? I mean, I wish I could stop the clock here on the show. Nick Akerman, I can't. I mean, what is it? Weekend jail time? I mean, is it something creative and different? Or is it, are you telling me the former president of the United States could enjoy a month at Rikers Island?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think what they'd have to do is create a presidential suite at Rikers Island because the Secret Service has to be there with him, obviously. But I think there is a very strong likelihood that he is going to be sentenced to imprisonment.